Hello, voter of Atascadero. This is Nick Matson, and I'm running for Atascadero City Council in 2020, and I hope to get your vote. I'm going to address a statement that was put out just now by the Atascadero Police and Fire Association. It was a joint statement regarding the 2020 election, and it is a statement of no confidence in my ability to figure out or lead our community toward a better economic and a better tax revenue base. What we have on the ballot right now is a Measure D20. It's a 1% sales tax increase for Atascadero. And it's not up to me to decide whether or not that's good for Atascadero. It's up to the Atascadero voters, and they're going to make their decision. We know that the police and fire want this tax to go through, and we know why. It's a benefit to them, and it's a tax on the people of Atascadero. So it's millions of dollars at stake here, and in my opinion, if the city had a good argument for the measure and a good tax measure on the ballot, then the people of Atascadero would vote for it. What we have actually is not a good tax measure and not a strong plan for Atascadero, and it is my belief that this tax measure will not make it and not pass. And it is a statement and a referendum on the management, the current management of Atascadero, and the current responsibility and accountability of Atascadero. If you give me a proper tax plan, I'll vote for it. If you give me a plan that says, here's why we need the tax money, here's what we're going to do with it, and this is how we're going to increase the overall wealth and well-being of Atascadero with this tax measure, I'll get behind it. I'm a business person. I want this place to do well. I want Atascadero to do well. I want my kids to have a great place to grow up. I want my neighbors to enjoy the luxury that we have by living in Atascadero, California. And we can do that. And we can do that through a tax measure. But if the tax measure isn't solid, if the language of the tax measure doesn't instill confidence in the city of Atascadero and give the voters a reason to go yes on D20, that has nothing to do with me. Now, the statement by the Police and Fire Association, it's completely understandable. You know, I don't blame them at all for not having confidence in me because I'm not voting for and I'm not for D20. But if they're going to take that position with me, then I think they should also recognize that they're taking that position with every member of Atascadero who's going to vote no on D20. And if D20 does not pass because it does not have a majority vote, then they're taking issue with majority of Atascadero population. Now, on the other hand, maybe it does go through. Maybe we do have D20 on the ballot next year, or D20 passed and have a tax measure in place next year. That has nothing to do with me either. That has to do with the voters of Atascadero, and I appreciate the voters' choice and voters making that decision for themselves on whether they want to do this. In the big picture, whether we do have the tax approved or not, we're still stuck with the management that got us there in the first place. That's at least a 10-year trend of dipping into our funds and getting us to where we are now with running deficits in our city. That is a management problem. It's not a resident problem. It is not a police problem. It is not a fire department problem. It is a management problem if we're not raising the funds necessary to cover our expenses. That's really what's at stake here, and that is a referendum on the city if this tax measure doesn't pass, because not only are you not getting what you need for your basic needs, but you're also being told that you're not trusted to manage that. And that's just a statement that the city of Atascadero needs to face, and I am running for city council to help guide that discussion, make sure that the common sense and the accountability is there, that we are taking care of the things that we're supposed to take care of as a city, that we are moving forward with a dedicated and strong, solid plan, a thought out plan, plan the work and work the plan. That's the way I like to look at things, and that's as a business owner, that's what I've done for years now. And I want to have a better Atascadero, a great Atascadero, and we can do that. We can do that with a tax. We can do that without a tax. But what we need to do is we need to do it with realistic policies and a realistic effort toward a goal. We can't just assume that we should have a tax and everybody should be okay with it. Anybody who disagrees with it is somehow incapable. The problem is it's the exact opposite. It is the people who have been in charge who have been incapable of turning this ship. And we are going to come in here as my team is business based. We have good policies. We have hard work. We know what it is to invest in our community. We know what it is to give and to sacrifice volunteer hours to lead organizations in Atascadero. Anybody who knows me from here to Paso Robles knows that whatever it is it's about results. Whatever I do, it's about getting results, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Now, I'm looking forward to serving on the Atascadero City Council for that reason, because we can get results out of this town. But we have to get over the excuses. We have to get over the idea that we are not able to overcome obstacles that prevent us, or have prevented us, I should say, from becoming the solid economic base that we know we can. And there are a lot of us in town who believe that we can do a lot better. And for us to assume that the only way for us to accomplish our goals is to add a tax with no plan, I'm sorry, you haven't sold the people of Atascadero, in my opinion. The people I've been talking to, they haven't been sold on this plan. But what we can do, if this plan succeeds, if D20 succeeds and we put the tax measure into place, hey, we need somebody on the city council who is going to be adamant about what we're doing with this money to make sure that we are not just using it as a band-aid without a sunset. We have to have a plan in place for why we have this tax and what we're going to do to make sure that we are doing our part for Atascadero. On the other hand, if you're going to tell me that this is the only way that we're ever going to be able to fund the basic needs of Atascaderos to add a tax to our city, tell me that. Tell me that very clearly, very point blank. I will listen to that. That is an honest assessment, if that's the honest assessment. If we are never going to be able to accomplish our goals as a city and pay for our basic expenses without this additional tax, just tell me that. I'm on board. But what I've gotten from the city in this discussion is it's just going to be nice to have some extra money, and that's not a plan to me. That is somebody who has not run an efficient program and just wants additional funding to continue behaving the way they did, not running an efficient program. So I'm looking for action. I'm looking for change. I'm going to bring that change to the Atascadero City Council in a way that is professional, that is direct, that is no BS, that we are looking at this squarely. We are going to make changes, and we are going to have a great city that funds itself, a sustainable city. And that's what I'm promising. That's what I'm doing. Now, if the tax does not go through and it ends up, we do need that still in 2 years, 2022, we can relook at it, redefine the terms, sell Atascadero on a tax measure that actually makes sense, and go from there. It's not up to me to say yes or no on D20. I'm just one vote of many, and I've already voted. I hope if you haven't voted yet, I hope you've listened to this message, that you know that this is an important issue in Atascadero, that we can move forward or we can stay where we are. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. I can guarantee you that. I've lived here long enough in Atascadero to know that. It's why I'm sacrificing myself and my time to work for you, work for the city of Atascadero, to help guide this conversation forward in a meaningful way so that we can have the best city possible. And so if you want any more information, or if you want to share this, please, atascaderostrong.com. Check it out. Share it with your friends. Let them know it's time that we take the bull by the horns and make something great. And we can do that together. The rest of the city council are great people. They bring a lot to the table. I bring a solid business sense, a sense of enthusiasm, a ton of experience in selling the product. I think we can market Atascadero to be the greatest city on the Central Coast. I always have believed that. I've watched this city be run the way it's been run. I just feel like I can add that little bit extra that gets us over the top. I hope that you can vote for me now or on November 3rd, and let's make 2021 the greatest it can be.